I actually wanted to start episode 8 of the Record Players podcast by asking a question. Did we pick the wrong size? In the 1940s, we largely, after the establishment of 78s, the record industry decided that 12 inches was the size of a standard LP. Were they wrong? I posit that if it had been, say, 2 inches longer, most of our CD problems would have, in the future, been solved, and we'd no longer have these vinyl problems where you could really fit most albums on a side and have better sound quality at this point. So why have we not simply come out with record players and records that can handle 2 more inches of vinyl and solve this problem?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
You know, I never thought about that. And then I would kind of like to look up the history. Why 12-inch too? Like, who came up with that they decided 12-inch is the optimal size?
The answer is, from my understanding, the Recording Industry Association of America, after doing a bunch of science and math and other things, they did do their research and ultimately decided that this was the length of a full album that they could sort of support commercially and all that sort of thing. And so at that time, it was, about 15, 17 minutes. And then over the decades, they figured out how to squeeze another 3 to 5 or so per side and everything. And nowadays, we can go pretty much edge to edge with some drawbacks and pull about 25 minutes or so if we need to on a record side, I've seen. I think that Radiohead's maybe about 25. So.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't try to squeeze much more than that because it's going to sound like crap. But yeah, you could get probably about 25.
With some mechanical exceptions due to placement of things like tone arms, we could already be there. Because really your record needle will go out farther than the turntable and still perfectly read the needle. And so we could be there already, except that it would jam up against some record players and things, of course. So.
Right. I mean, because all record players are designed for 12 and 7-inch or 10-inch, but that's just right in the middle. So
I wanted to mention that this is Father's Day weekend, and with me is my son. We're going by the screen name Joof, and so welcome, Joof, to the Record Players podcast.
Hello.
You have to listen to my records.
Yes.
Yeah, and you've had to listen to my records since you were frankly born. So what's that like?
I mean, I'm okay with a lot of your hard rock and stuff. I have my own preferences, but I still pretty much vibe with any music that is good.
Important question here. There is one very important question that everybody wants to know, I'm sure. What do you think about Frank Zappa?
Don't know him.
I have not. No, I generally would not be playing my Zappa records in front of my children, for the most part.
Fair.
So
that is fair.
Let's just say they talk about some stuff. So
that is fair.
Yeah, okay. But you've heard a few of the instrumentals and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I'm
Ear
mainly
Apostrophe,
into instrumental stuff, not vocal stuff.
You've heard Yellow Snow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Frank Zappa. So
a classic.
We're not here to talk about Zappa, though. We're here to talk about the thing that all three of us have in common, and that is video games. You've been a video game player for life. I'm a video game player for life. I'm pretty sure you are too, right, Drac?
That is correct, yep.
Yeah. When did you first start playing video games?
Atari 2600 was the first, so whatever year. It was probably a year after it came out. First game I can actually remember ever playing was Pitfall.
I have 3 memories that all conflict, and I'm not sure exactly which order it happened, because it all probably happened over the course of about 4 months. But I saw my first Magnavox Odyssey, my first TV plug-and-play Pong console, and my first Atari 2600 all about at the same time. So that would have put it after 1977 for sure. But I think I saw Space Invaders, which would have meant after 1980, which would have put me at about the age of 6 or so.
That's probably, it was probably maybe a year, a couple years after it came out. But I can remember getting an Atari 2600 for Christmas and getting Pitfall, and that's all I did for like 3 days straight.
It isn't just playing Pitfall that was fun, though, was it? It's the sound of Pitfall that you remember all these decades later.
Exactly.
And even though the Atari 2600 was, for the most part, not very soundtrack capable, we quickly evolved from that into an era of PlayStations, and nowadays they're just full orchestral and or electronic compositional soundtracks. I mean, it's just full on. Video game soundtrack is just like a movie soundtrack, or just like a TV soundtrack, etc. Right, in terms of what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Also,
and that's a big part of the game too, is the soundtrack, because it gets you immersed into the universe, for a back of a better term, whatever game you're playing. It kind of sucks you in, and it gets you just that you need that soundtrack there to like pull you in more than just the game does.
I think one of the best examples of that would be with Valve. They have a full-on orchestra too.
They do. Yeah.
So like, and they make some of the most immersive stuff ever. Yeah.
Yeah, Valve, I'm pretty sure, is going to be on our list as we are talking about our top 5 video game soundtracks. Now, because this is a Father's Day weekend recording, and because my son is with me, who, hey, yes, my son has a record player. But
yes,
you
and
don't,
I have one record.
But you have just basically a couple of records, really, because you got my Minecraft here, too. We split that one.
Oh,
so, yeah. But for the most part, not a big record collection. And I have to be honest, I have a nice little, maybe 20 titles or so, video game soundtracks, but they're not my top 5. So when we got to the point of doing this top 5 video game soundtrack, I'm like, well, I love these records, but they ain't my top 5 video game soundtracks. So I want to actually talk about my top 5 video game soundtracks on the Record Players podcast for Father's Day weekend, going off media here. You, however, have some pretty awesome video game soundtrack records.
I stuck with the ones that I actually had vinyl for. There are 2 or 3 that I could have switched out here that I don't own vinyl for, or that are not even on vinyl, and a couple I couldn't even find on CD. So yeah, I stuck with my physical media. But
when it came to, say, our speed metal soundtrack, I went and said, well, why don't I have my number 2 album on vinyl, and just bought it? Right. But I can't, in many cases, do that with my video game soundtracks, because not only are video game soundtracks trending toward the pricey collectible side, but they are. A lot of this stuff just does not get released on vinyl record. Things are changing now because it's a good way to make a little bit of merch money. Yeah. But it hasn't always been the case. And or maybe your video game isn't the scale that you can actually do a vinyl record press. And so there's a lot of stuff that's just like Bandcamp only and things like that.
I am going to start things out then with my number 5. I'm going to go the Baldur's Gate 3 soundtrack. Once again, as I said earlier about a game that kind of sucks you in and will make it more immersive, that's how this Baldur's Gate soundtrack is. Let me show you. It's got custom labels on the... Oh, sorry about the glare. See, it features all of the characters on the custom labels. There's a couple different versions of this. There is a much pricier version than the one that I have. And I really can't see the difference between the 2 pressings, so I'm not sure why one is like twice as much as this one. And this is a 4 record set.
4 record set, wow. So automatically then it must put it in the range of what, $70-$80 to buy?
Yeah, it was like 85 I think I paid like 85, I think, something like that. So yeah. Baldur's Gate 3. If you have never played Baldur's Gate 3, I'm a really big fan of the original Baldur's Gate, but this comes really close to taking, I think, the best Baldur's Gate game in the series. Lyrian Studios did such a good job with this game. So there you go. Baldur's Gate 3.
There is a strong likelihood that it's going to be considered a modern masterpiece.
Oh, easily.
And it is modern. It just came out not that long ago. Isn't that cool, though, that these big games and big studios are putting together big record sets like this? Isn't that just great, though? Even what I just said about them being limited and maybe hard to get and a little pricey.
Oh, yeah.
How sweet is that?
Yeah, it's so great.
I'm calling it audible. I have one game down on the list, but that's not the game I'm picking. Because my number 5 is a game called Cosmoteer. Cosmoteer is a spaceship building, combat, exploration, trade, and just whatever you want to call it game, where you do incredible things over a long period of time and can do it with other people in a very easy drop in and out way, share your spaceships, engage in army to army battles, and just have organic fun powered by one of the coolest sort of John Carpenter style space age soundtracks that I have ever heard. I think the Cosmoteer soundtrack fits right in with, like, say, your Wendy Carloses of the world or your John Carpenter, the two heaviest influences of it. But it stands on its own as incredibly great sci-fi soundtrack, whether you're hanging out in your office, just chilling down the road, or actually playing the game itself. It is one of those games that, even though I have put in maybe 100 hours into Cosmoteer, I still keep the audio up because I want to hear that soundtrack when I am playing.
Yeah, I would know that because it is fun. And in fact, I just recently spent like 45 minutes trying to record footage for this, just building a ship. It is like a giant it's just a big laser beam. It is chaotic. And I created this thing called the Super Dreadnought Large. It is so powerful that it will evaporate ships with thousands of missiles.
It's not the easiest game to learn. So if you are particularly maybe a parent of a younger child who sees this gameplay footage and is like, oh, yes, please do be aware that it takes a little bit of skill to learn to build your ships and things like that.
Yeah,
however, not that much skill. And it does a lot of the work for you, and you can do some incredible things. It's also a game that is, I think, very attractive to people who are into tabletop space strategy combat games. Because even though it is all very active in its presentation, it has a look and feel sort of like maybe an FTL sort of grid-based kind of ship combat.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
It's easy to learn the building, but hard to master it. As like, my buildings, I'm not like amazing with my building, but I can create some deadly ships.
And he does destroy me frequently. But that's the whole fun of it.
Nice.
Final piece I want to say before we move on. Physical media. It is not available on vinyl. The soundtrack is simply too long. You can get it on Bandcamp digitally. However, the creator, who is based in France, will in fact ship a cassette, a handcrafted cassette to you for something like a mere 12 euros.
Really?
So if you are a physical media person and you want the Cosmeteer soundtrack, your current option is cassette.
Well, good on him though for doing at least offering that for people that want the physical media.
So my number 5, I think I'm going to give it to Carrier Command 2.
Good pick.
Yeah. Fun game. I was actually going to replace it with Cosmeteer, but then my dad decided to replace his thing with Cosmeteer so that I could keep that, as I feel like they're both, like, kind of in the same... It's also, like, based off of Tron in that, too.
Yeah. I had brought up Wendy Carlos, who was the composer of the Tron soundtrack, the original Tron soundtrack. So, and yeah, I mean, in some ways they are that kind of spacey, sort of synthy, kind of heartbeat style composition that you see, but it's just great. And it also has orchestral kind of combat, military style combat elements to its soundtrack that are excellent.
So also part of the game is, it is extremely hard to learn. Like, extremely. You have to be experienced just to, like, play it. As it is... You have to be experienced with strategy and stuff, as it is, like, slow-paced, real-time strategy. Very slow, but very fun, and really big explosions. And also, the people who make Carrier Command 2 also make another game that I like, which is, Stormworks.
That's right. One of our all-time favorites, frankly, Stormworks is.
Now, it has, like, 4, maybe 5-ish songs, so I'm, like... I didn't really feel like including it, as they're both kind of like the same type of music.
I agree. The Stormworks as a game is our favorite, but the soundtrack of Carrier Command 2 is superior.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Carrier Command 2 is actually the only real-time strategy game that I do enjoy.
Oh, really?
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that you played
Wow.
Carrier Command.
Yeah. I am not a big RTS fan, but I do like Carrier Command a lot.
And also, Carrier Command 1 is a retro game.
That's true. It's true, right? Carrier Command 1 counts as a retro game these days.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, a lot of games we grew up with are going to count as retro games these days. Isn't that true, Drac?
That's what I was about to say. Can we not talk about what's retro and what's not retro? Because, yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. No, you are not wrong, sir.
You
are
have that
definitely
moment
not
where you're
wrong.
like, oh, crap, I was out of high school when that came out.
I will move into my number 4, one of my all-time favorite role-playing games of all time on the computer, and that is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. So this is the second game in the Vampire series. The first one, Requiem, really, really good too. Excellent soundtrack as well. This one is just amazing. The music is by Rick Schaefer, and this one is pressed
Ooh.
on this little red, kind of blood red.
Yeah.
This is very gothic, electronic. There's some orchestra in there as well. It's kind of all over the place. It's just a very great soundtrack. Again, it just immerses you more into the game. And if you've never played Bloodlines, do yourself a favor and play it. But get the community pack. When it was first Troika is a studio that released it originally, and they rushed it out, and it was just like basically unplayable when it was released. And then Troika got shut down, and then the community actually banded together and fixed it. So if you do want to go back and play it, make sure you play it with the community patch, because it fixes all of the bugs and it adds some new stuff to the game too. But it's such a good game.
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, is that correct?
Bloodlines, yep. That is the correct. Here, let me get my show it back to you. Yep. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. It's the second in the series.
This isn't, this isn't our most expensive records podcast, but let me just say, Drac,
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, go ahead.
that is one heck of an expensive record to buy right now.
Yes, it is. That is because it was like a limited release. It's only been pressed once. I don't think it's ever going to get a repress. Yeah, this is stupid expensive. I lucked into this and got it when it came out. Most places that had it, it was sold out instantly. I managed to find it after the fact for retail. And yeah, if you look on Discogs now, it's stupid what that
In the
record
week
is
before
selling
this
for.
recording, at one point, I saw exactly 2 copies for sale at a minimum price of 170 US before shipping from Europe.
That's
So you're looking at like 200 maybe or something.
easily, yeah.
And that eBay result has at times gone into 4 digits. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, don't pay that much. I mean, it's a really good soundtrack, but just at that point, listen to it on YouTube. Don't pay that much money for it. I mean, unless you just have stupid money to spend and you want to spend $200, I mean, I'm not going to stop you, but yeah.
But holy heck, if you find that in the wild, you nab that thing.
Oh, yeah.
That thing is
Definitely.
amazing. Also a great soundtrack, not available on vinyl because frankly it's about 3.5 hours worth of music, is my number 4, Just Shapes and Beats. Just Shapes and Beats is a party-style multiplayer game that is all about sort of music-based retro gameplay merged with chiptune, 8-bit, dubstep, modern-style electronic music, and then thrown out into an experience that anybody can play, but you have to be super good to get good at. And it is just one of the more skilled games I've played. It's one of the more unique games I've played because you're these little shapes, a soundtrack is playing on screen, and you have to dodge basically everything. And
Okay.
Anything that is pink.
meanwhile, it's all happening as essentially something like a music visualizer plays to these high-intensity dance tracks.
Gotcha.
And there's a really touching well-written story as well that's about acceptance and working together and overcoming obstacles and things getting worse in the world around you and all sorts of stuff. But it also is a very abstract game in its story, and it's really like nothing else, and it's got the most bangers per soundtrack of any video game soundtrack I can think of.
It is fun. It's a fun party game, up to 4-player co-op. And and they even have bonus songs too. And the campaign, you can adjust the difficulty. I believe we've been it on casual. I believe we've been it like 3 times. Once on casual and then like the rest on normal.
In my personal life, every year they're at PAX East, which is a big giganto game convention in Boston. So every year I get to stop by and see real players compete in Just Shapes and Beats, and when you see that level of skill, you realize just how much of a spectrum they've been able to provide, because you can also play duffer mode, essentially, where you can just sort of walk your way through the soundtrack.
Oh, right.
So,
Yeah.
But it's just super duper cool.
So my number 4, I'm giving it to Helldivers 2.
That was
How much-
on my short list.
Yeah. How much
Almost
do I have
added
to
that.
Explain it? Not much.
This is one we do not have on vinyl, ... yet, because I cannot currently purchase one. But as soon as I've got the extra cash, you can purchase the Helldivers 2 soundtrack right now on vinyl, the official version of it, for about $30, which is pretty cheap, really. So
I paid $29.95 for it.
that is one
actually have
soundtrack
it.
that is going to be,
Yep.
in my opinion, going up in value long term.
It
Yeah.
was almost my number 5. I wrestled between it and Baldur's Gate 3, and I just gave Baldur's Gate 3 the little nudge, but Helldivers 2 was almost my number 5.
Yeah.
It was an excellent soundtrack.
Fun game, fun soundtrack. I chose the extraction music rather than usually what's considered the main theme, just because I like it more. And then
I like it better too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it has the funniest edition. They have a full-on anthem.
They do. The community has started making its own music.
Yeah,
a lot of it through AI, but
Yeah.
not entirely.
So, yeah, there's this channel called Mutaku. They make all sorts of fan songs. They even release like certain things in game, like the actual videos that usually play on the main screen. They make fan music for different factions and all sorts. Yeah.
On the one hand, the Helldivers 2 soundtrack is somewhat, I guess you could say, normal, in that it's sort of military-style, symphonic, rock-based, modern video game music.
That's a good way to describe it.
It's also sort of just a great, maybe one of the best examples of it. So,
And on top of it, really, really funny gameplay.
we haven't mentioned what Helldivers 2 actually is, but if you aren't aware, because maybe you're not a video gamer or whatever, it's Starship Troopers, the third-person action game. So if
With
you've ever
people.
seen Starship Troopers, it is very much like that, including all the satire, and they knock the satire out of the park better than most video games have in the history of video games.
And also, part of it is they even have the bugs are based off of the bugs in Starship Troopers. The bots are pretty much just Terminators, but like worse. Way worse.
When I think Super Nintendo, or just Nintendo even, not even Super Nintendo, just Nintendo, If somebody mentions Nintendo to me, most people think, "Oh yeah, Mario." I'm like, no, no, Castlevania.
Mm.
Castlevania, the original Castlevania soundtrack. And this is one of the few 10-inch records that I own. This came out a couple of years ago from Mondo. This is the first time the soundtrack was on. And again, it's another red, which is not as quite cool as a Vampire the Masquerade red, but it's still a...
It's a pretty good translucent, though. And at least based on the riff, it was sounding pretty good, too. So.
Yeah, it does. It sounds... Well, you know, it's Mondo, which usually Mondo stuff sounds really good. I have some examples in my catalog that doesn't sound that great as Mondo, but yeah, if you have ever played Castlevania, you know how hard this game is. This is the hardest game I think I have ever beaten in my life. It took me forever. There's a couple bosses that I have never rage quit so fast in my life.
I've
with
never beaten
Castlevania, it's a really hard game. It took me forever, and I'll admit it was much later. I never beat it as a kid. It was much later in life when I finally got around to like playing it and beating it. And sadly, it wasn't on original hardware. I was emulating it and playing it, but yeah. So yeah,
the old NES era game design of let's just punish them for like 100 hours, and then that's how they're going to get their value from it, is because it's going to take them that long to get through the suffering. So,
and that is exactly what Castlevania was. It was just punishment from the start. Like,
great game though. It starts, like you say, fantastic classic of one of the classic games of all time, and one of the most influential games of all time too.
Oh, easily, yeah. I mean, it started the whole Metrovania genre. That was the original Metrovania game, which is what they're called now. I mean, back then it wasn't called that, but yeah, Castlevania is my number 3.
I'm also going retro. No big surprise there. I haven't mentioned this, I don't think, before on the Retro or the Record Players podcast, but the only thing I collect more of than records is old video games. I have a large record collection. I have a larger video game collection. Going back specifically to the Atari 2600, where my goal is to try during my lifetime to collect one of every commercially released video game released during its initial run of 1977 to 1991, and I am currently in the range of somewhere in the 400s in terms of individual titles. So the stuff that is left is the stuff that is exceptionally rare, essentially. And when you talk about exceptionally rare of the 2600, they mean it. All of which to say, I am a retro video gamer as much as I am anything else. And that's part of why I wanted to break out the vinyl for my video game soundtrack, because I wanted to get the retro stuff in, and most of this retro stuff is not on vinyl, or if it is, it's unofficial, or if it is unofficial, it's also really expensive. And I don't want to do that.
Right.
And my number 3, Rastan. The arcade version of Rastan. It's just a banger of retro soundtrack of its era. it draws the ear every time I hear it in an arcade. I'm like, oh, heck yeah, they've got Rastan. And it's got that bit where it just gets intense. It sounds cool. As part of the pre-work for the show, I was like, okay, am I really putting Rastan number 3 on my list? So I went and picked it up on PlayStation 5 as part of the Hamster Retro collection there. They've got a nice release of it. And I was listening to the soundtrack, and immediately I was like, oh, yeah, for sure, this is my number 3. But also, I still can't get past level 2. Not really. Because that game is so gosh darn hard. It's ridiculous.
Oh, it is.
So,
It's crazy hard.
yeah, number 3.
100%.
Number 3,
Yep.
I think I'm going to give it to War Thunder. Specifically the Volume 2 Air soundtrack.
Awesome pick. War Thunder is a modern style military online action combat game where you play as jets and tanks and boats, and their claim to fame is the high level of accurate detail to the actual things that they are portraying inside of the game, and the generally arcadey but still realistic military combat style gameplay to the point that military people can actually do things military style within the game.
So there are 3 types of modes. Arcade mode, which is, well, I'll explain that. Simulator mode, which is pretty much the real thing, but without all of the joysticks. Realistic, which, if you do... So it puts a lot of emphasis on your first life. You gotta actually know where you hit your shells. You gotta know what type of shells, what not. But then there's arcade, which is just realistic with crutches. In realistic, you can spawn anything other than boats, usually. Anything, as long as you do well on your first life. That includes a nuclear bomber. Yeah, those things will instantly win a match.
There are parts of this game, and, you know, we've lived now with amazing looking graphics for, a decade plus now, but especially when this game first came out, there were times where you would look at it and say, that looks about as close to actual footage of war that I've ever seen in a video game. And they've only kind of expanded from there. There are other games doing this, but War Thunder is one of the biggest.
So
and
also,
one of the best.
With the thing is, they use real aircraft. Like, they will go out to, like, museums, 3D model and stuff, and, like, they get all of the internals usually correctly, all of the destruction, like, individual bullets have their own collision, and, like, they will, put in their individual bullet holes in the aircraft.
That's crazy.
It is, like, the most insane thing. They even have, like, fire suppression system stuff. And the boats are extremely realistic, but there's, like, at most 15 of them. There's not a lot of boats in the game. It's not... The emphasis is more on air and ground.
True. I would also just say that how do they do this? Well, they tend to be one of the pricier games in the video game-osphere. to the point that, yes, you can buy these hyper-realistic ships, and sometimes, I don't know, what is the cost? I've seen as high as like $70, $80.
Yeah,
So-
depends how advanced
Yeah.
you're going.
Yeah.
Depends how high in the tech tree. If it's
But that's
pretty
how they
low,
do it,
about
and they've got a
20-ish
worldwide
bucks.
audience that's like, yes, if you are going to put in that work for my
Right.
video game, I am willing to pay that price for
But-
it. And they offer it. So.
Part of it is you don't have to though.
Yeah.
It's a grind, but it's a fun grind.
So the soundtrack.
Soundtrack, I love it. It is like they're also with Valve, which I will mention later, is they have a proper orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's amazing soundtracks like for the earlier on in the tech tree when you have like the World War I, World War II stuff, you have like proper trumpets, it sounds like an orchestra. But then once you get into like the Cold War and stuff, it's like it's like electronic stuff.
Nice.
So like as you go up in the tree, the music gets advanced as well.
Well, I will have to check that one out. I've never actually played it.
Free to install. It is a big game though. That is the only problem is it will take about half of your hard drive.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to
I
need a
don't
double
know.
2-car garage for that one, pretty much. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Good to know. All right, my number 2 is Doom, and I picked the 2016 because that's the one that I own physically. If I would own the original Doom on any other format, I would have included it because that just holds so much nostalgia for me. But sadly, I don't see that it's even available on anything.
Look at that record.
So, yes.
Chief.
The
That's the
Doom
one- that's our record,
2016 soundtrack. Yeah.
We need to get that one.
And then And then It Too is on another red. It's kind of funny. Most of my stuff has been red today by coincidence, but that's what the actual vinyl looks like. It's on a red press. And this actually is still readily available. Actually, you can find this, and it's not, I want to say it's like $30-$40, so it's not too high a price. And it's Mick Gordon is the composer of this. This is metal is the only way to describe it. It is like hard metal.
What it really is it's its own genre called violence.
I like it. There you go.
Pretty much. I mean, there are heavy metal and death metal bands that sound like this video game, and this video game sounds like them, and both of which are in a very loving symbiotic relationship that has spawned much more in terms of both metal and video game violence. So
Yeah.
it's all about Doom, isn't it?
Right.
Doom guy, he punches his doors. He doesn't use knobs. So
Exactly.
If there's a problem, use violence. If that doesn't work, use more violence. And if that still doesn't work, you're still not using enough violence. That is Doom Guy.
And Doom is still around, actually. They just came out with Doom
Yeah.
the Dark Ages, actually. So it's still, as a series, Doom is still going strong.
And Doom the Dark Ages actually happens before 2016 and Eternal.
It does, yeah. It's like, it's kind of a weird prequel, I guess, is the best way to...
Yes.
I just started playing it, actually. It's on, if you have Game Pass on the Xbox, it's actually on Game Pass. So, and I have Game Pass for the PC as well. So I'm actually playing it on PC. I'm not on the Xbox. But
if you look at the history of video games, there have been a ton of metalheads who have actively been making video games really pretty much since the start. But
100%, yeah.
very, very explicitly bringing that culture to video games with games like some we might be talking about later, but also very much a game like Doom.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My number 2 is another arcade retro game. This one goes down to 1984, I believe, and that is a game by Taito called Legend of Kage. You're a sort of a martial artist chucking throwing stars and using your sword against ninjas and things like that and trying to rescue a princess. And it's really one of the earliest games that focused on impressive presentation because there's lightning in the sky and rain coming down. You're going through trees which have multiple colors, which, you know, and really pretty impressive graphics even today, but especially at the time, pretty darn mind-blowing. And it was accompanied by just this banger of a action theme that just, to this day, is another one that I just, when I think about what are my favorite video game soundtracks, it has to be. I can't get it on vinyl that I'm aware of, but it's my favorite.
I've never seen it.
Or close to it, except for my next one, which is my number 1. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Half-Life 2 Episode 2. I like the first game soundtrack a lot, but I like the second one better, just because it's like that heavy metal type thing. It has like, for 2 of them is like heavy. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Not like super heavy, not like the heaviest, but it is good. It is good. That's just how
it's just good. I think certainly Half-Life and Half-Life 2 changed video games in the way that they're presented and played. It really brought the show it, don't say it, or don't just move from text. I mean, it was sort of a real cinematic experience.
Yes.
There had been certainly others before that and after and everything, but it's a key one in terms of presentation, and a lot of that presentation has come down to sound design and soundtracks. So
I would argue, like you said, Doom kind of changed the first-person shooter game. I think Half-Life did too. Not just the music and the sound-wise, but story-wise. Mm-hmm. Half-Life and Half-Life 2 had really, really good writing and stories to them. And you got immersed in the story as you played. Like, the story opened up and you started figuring stuff out and you're going, oh, I know, okay. And then that immersed you into the world more. When we decided we were going to make this list, I automatically knew what my number 1 was going to be. It like the other 4 were the ones that I had to figure out. I'm like, no questions asked. It's Quake.
Ooh.
The original Quake. Music by Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails. this soundtrack, I have such nostalgia for the soundtrack. Nine Inch Nails is actually my second favorite band. As people that have watched the show already know, Pearl Jam is my favorite band. Nine Inch Nails is my second favorite band. And Trent Reznor, like, you could not have Quake without Trent's music, I don't think.
No.
It immersed you so much into the world, just the music and just the basically genius that Trent is, made this game. And this is just on standard black, nothing major. This is this I don't think you can get anymore. I think this is out of print. So this is another one that it's not too high priced to buy now, but it is out of print. But
I was going to say,
again,
so there have been a number of records through 8 episodes of the Record Players podcast where I'm like, oh, I am so jealous it hurts. And this is one of them. I want that so bad. You have no idea. Oh,
it's this, and this actually was one of the first vinyl that I ever bought, because I'm like, I have to have it, like, because it means that much to me. If you have never heard this soundtrack, like, do yourself a favor and just stream this soundtrack. Go on YouTube, pull it up. Like, I will often put this on and just have it on in the background as I'm doing other stuff. You know, like I'm cleaning or cooking or whatever. I'll just throw the soundtrack on because it's that good. So yeah.
We're going to talk about this
Easily.
in a different video than the one you're watching right now. But I happen to have the soundtrack on sort of kind of CD. I love it too. I also think it's a great example, similar to something we'll be talking about later on in the show, which is that it's a soundtrack that's very different from the band and composer when they entered into it. At the time Quake released, it was sort of metal. It's got some guitars and crunch and all that sort of thing, but it's also very atmospheric and almost new age versions of it, because it's meant to be these kind of constant presence in these dungeons and all that sort of thing that the person's going through. And so you have just these, it's as much soundscapes as it is solid, typical songwriting. And it's very different for Nine Inch Nails, even at the time.
Yes,
really.
It is. And I'm going to try to show this. I might have to take a picture of this. I don't know how well this is going to show up. This is a 4-record set, but one of the sides is blank and it's etched. I don't know how well this is going to show up, but that is actually the CD code of the soundtrack that is on the game CD. That is the actual CD Red Book code on how it's on the CD.
Wow.
If that's I think it's kind of showing up. I just thought that was so cool that, so basically you could rip the soundtrack music off, program that in, and you could make your own CD for Quake with that.
Nice.
So there we go. Yeah.
What a neat thing to do. So.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not sure if that was it or if that was Trent Reznor that decided to do that, but it might have been id that did it. But yeah.
Neat.
But yeah,
Neat.
amazing. Quake.
Well, we have not been showing records, except for this one, which has already been on the show. It's my number one. It is Katamari Damacy, my favorite video game soundtrack. No question, the most expensive record in my collection, and just one of the most amazing records in my collection that looks great, full of everything. Very on brand, as they say. And on brand for Katamari means about as weird as it gets, but in a fun, super great, family friendly, absolutely off the wall, into far reaches of the universe weird.
Do your best. Picnic 기분 feels so good.
Wonderful lounge music, dance music, kind of Japanese big band standards, but also just sort of, I don't even know how to describe the music of Katamari Damacy.
Yeah, it's a very eclectic soundtrack.
It is
for
like
sure.
nothing you've ever heard for the most part, except maybe a little bit of kind of space age loungy type stuff. And it fits very much in a video game about playing the young child of the king of all cosmos as he discovers that he can roll things up in just by rolling things up. And so he starts rolling up the world into a gigantic ball and then doesn't stop there and rolls up the entire universe, powered by one of the strangest soundtracks as cows are flying and people are everywhere and things are going nuts. And it is about the strangest thing you've ever seen. And it's one of the most loving, wonderful, most human things you've ever seen. And it's just joy incarnate. And I love the soundtrack. And I love Katamari Damacy.
Now for my number 1, which would be Doom Eternal.
Nice.
Pretty similar video game there.
Yep.
Yeah, we already explained it, but this has pretty much all of its like all in the rock thing. All of the songs are rock. Not just weird horrifying stuff. As I mean,
Yeah, it's
canonically
it's a really good soundtrack.
Doom Guy locked himself in hell on purpose just because he was bored, I think.
It's not like that. That would make sense.
That's
And also,
that's about the best way to describe it.
he killed God.
That's true. He did do that.
He
in the game.
canonically
Yeah.
killed God.
The creature known as God in that universe, at least. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, and also hell used to be heaven.
Yeah. In that universe,
Yep.
there is in fact a whole bunch of Doom lore because it's been going on since the 90s. But yeah. But really, it's been going on the past 10 years with that 2016 reboot in terms of the big budget side of Doom. Not that there weren't plenty of Doom games prior, but in terms of that
Right.
kind of lore and story and everything. At
And
least as far as I'm
canonically,
aware.
he's doing this entire thing just because his pet rabbit died.
Before John Wick. Or is
So are you saying Doom Guy was the original John Wick? Is that
maybe.
what you're
I
saying?
would need to know the timeline. I don't know if that's actually true or not.
I mean, it could be. It might
Yeah.
be, actually.
It would, if it's true
have to
from day one, it sure would be. But I just don't know when they
Have
added
to
that.
see
to the lore.
timeline-wise how that...
Yeah.
I think
up,
the
We might
first
be onto
Doom, I'm not sure if his rabbit dies. I think he was conscripted.
I want to see Spirit Box play, frankly, the Doom soundtrack. That's what I want to do.
That would be amazing. How do we make that happen?
How do we make that happen? It's
A lot
tough,
of
though,
money.
because we all did our top 5. So we've all done our top 5 now. Our top 5 list is over, but there's so much more that we could have done.
Oh, yeah.
It was brutal coming up with it, especially
was.
once you go away from your
100%.
collection. It's so difficult. I just wanted to call out a few things that didn't make the list, but are types of music that are worth calling out. One of which is video games that the gameplay is the music. And by that I mean Rock Band, Guitar Hero,
Okay,
Um,
okay.
all those kind of things. But I also mean one of the originals and one of my personal favorites, Parappa the Rappa, for example, which created that music gameplay genre where you're trying to push the right button in time to the music.
The toilet over there will bring you luck, so give up, I got no time to spare.
The toilet over there will bring you luck, so give up, I got no time to spare.
I'm me losing up, I'm out of here.
Walk the walk, even if you can't just talk the talk. Ah, I got a call. I am a a chicken from the kitchen, and I ain't kidding, although nothing is written.
And there's a whole bunch of great games like that I didn't want to completely drop out of it, but they tend to, because of the nature of that game, not lend themselves to traditional soundtrack status. Another game I can think of is one called Ape Out, where you were playing as an ape that escapes from a big high-rise laboratory full of military people, and you were punching and kicking and such your way out of the high-rise. But the music is a free jazz drum solo. Each level is a different type of the drum. Where you are on the map determines which part of that particular instrument is being hit during the level, and everything you do determines what is played. So, for example, you punch a guard, and a cymbal level, it's psh. You do a run around, it's and things like that, and you are creating essentially a free jazz drum solo while you are playing this action game. And so there's a lot out, but that isn't a traditional soundtrack. And how would you kind of put that together?
So, one of my runner-ups was with Red Dead 2. Red Dead Redemption 2.
That almost made my list too, which I actually have that on vinyl, so it almost made my list.
On vinyl.
How about you, Jack? You want to do a runner-up here to wrap up our show?
Yep, Resident Evil Village, which is one of the newest Resident Evil games.
Very creepy
good soundtrack. Very super creepy.
Yeah.
Like when we talked about getting immersed into the game via the soundtrack, that is a really good example of you getting immersed into the game. Like the soundtrack is just full on creepville. Like you were creeped out. Just like the moment you put that soundtrack on or you start playing the game, from the title screen, from the first section of the gameplay, you're like, this is freaking me out right now. So, yeah.
The thing about soundtracks and video games, though, that a lot of people don't know is you may already have a bunch of soundtracks in your physical media collection, but don't even know it. For example, the Quake CD-ROM, which you, as I understand, have as well.
Yep.
For as long as I've known this video game, if you just pop the CD-ROM disc, the same disc you're using to play the video game, into a CD player that is able to read its table of contents correctly, you can just listen to that Trent Reznor soundtrack of Quake. You don't need to. I want that vinyl so bad, you have no idea. But ever since I purchased this game back in the 90s, I've been able to listen to the soundtrack because I just popped it into my CD player and listened to it. And I don't think a lot of people know you can do that.
No, I didn't for the longest time until one of my friends said something about it, and I'm like, no, you can't. And I put it in my CD player, and I'm like, holy crap, the soundtrack is here. Yeah. There was a lot of games that did that. I had a couple other examples, but for some reason I can't find them. I don't know. A lot of my big box games I packed away. There was a couple other ones that they would do like collector's editions. So they weren't on the CD itself, but they were packed in like the big box. which there is one that I would love to have, and that is going back to the Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. That was a totally separate soundtrack that was made just for that collector's edition that featured like some metal bands that had like Korn. It had
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
I can't think of who else. It was only on that collector's edition, and that thing sells for like $200. So I'm not gonna pay $200 for that. But yeah, there was quite a few examples of just it being just on the game disc too, though.
Yeah.
That all you had to do was pop it in to your player.
Before we get accused of clickbait or something like that, though, I do want to say that, if you put it in your player, it's also possible it won't work. My current, the one I happen to be using right now in my main stereo, is like an SACD and CD player hybrid from Sony, except it does not understand how to read the table of contents on this. Thankfully, though, as has been true since the 90s for the most part, if you put it into your computer, your CDR, your whatever your DVD reader writer, whatever kind of physical media writer you got in your computer, it almost certainly can, in fact, read it. And you can just either rip the CD like you would have an audio CD using an MP3 ripper or something, or just often just play it straight from there.
Yeah, my TIAC that I have in here will play it, but I have a Sony rack system in my office. It won't read it for some reason, which I don't know if it's something to do with the laser in the machine, because I would think any CD player could read Redbook, but because that's what it's called.
It has to do with the table of contents, because the table of contents, you tend to find at a computer level that you're starting with track 2, and the reason for that is track 1 is the data of the actual video game itself. And like sometimes your average Sony CD player or boombox or something like that, it just doesn't understand how to read that kind of thing. But a more advanced thing, including maybe both higher end, but also sometimes dumber CD players, just don't care or don't know. Like sometimes the cheaper ones actually do just as good a job because they don't understand to begin with. So they just skip right past it or whatever, right? So, but the other one I wanted to call out especially, this was very prevalent in the PlayStation 1 era. So if you have old PlayStation 1 discs, the ones, and they look different because they've got those black shiny CDRs, and so you might think that they aren't going to play, but they will. You can just put it in your computer and listen to the soundtrack on frankly dozens and dozens of PlayStation 1 games as well.
I didn't realize they did it on PlayStation.
They did. And it's really great because, one of my coolest looking records is the Namco Museum, but I've got this going back all the way to the PlayStation 1 days because of this game I purchased at GameStop for like $8 or whatever. And you could just drop this into this computer right here and listen to a lot of the sounds of the actual video games and all sorts of cool soundtracks and things like that. And it was real big in the PlayStation 1 era, and the reason for that is that to save space, essentially, the developers had the game data, and then they had the data say, well, you need to play this music, right? And because it was a PlayStation 1, it was CD quality music. And so they figured out that, well, why don't we just put it like on just like a regular CD, we'll just put it on there, and then we'll just tell the game to just pull it from there. And so that's how it would do it. But as a result, it's just standard Redbook CD audio, and will play in anything that can understand the slightly more complex table of contents of a video game disc. Before we move on from the topic, I wanted to call out one PlayStation 1 game specifically that might blow some minds here today. And this is a video game series that still exists, but this is the cool one, which is Monster Rancher. There is 1 and 2. Are you familiar with what Monster Rancher is?
Yep. I played the heck out of that game.
Monster Rancher is a Pokemon style sort of monster creation game that would generate the monsters that were created based on the CDs that you put into your PlayStation 1. It didn't have to be a CD, though. It could frankly be another PlayStation 1 game. It could be a data disc. Whatever you put into your PlayStation 1, it read the table of contents and then randomly generated its creatures based on that. But the developers specifically picked specific songs to create rare and legendary monsters that would then be used in the game. So from a community standpoint, they needed to figure out what songs the developers used to create these legendary monsters and things like that.
I remember that. Yep.
And thankfully, we live on the internet. So a lot of this has been sorted over time, but I'm going to put together, see if I can find a list here right now. People have, over the past 30 years now, figured out which songs they are. So now there's a database like, hey, this Fleetwood Mac song will generate this monster. This I think is actually a Stevie Nicks song, maybe. I can't remember right now off the top of my head. But there are specific tracks, like Michael Jackson and stuff, that'll create specific monsters. And there are still potentially monsters that have not been created because we just don't know.
Right. I mean,
and so it's great.
Think about it. It's like, how many different songs are there to... Like nobody's going to have the time just to try random every song on every CD.
For example, Dango, whose main is Bacchus and has a sub unknown, is created by playing Chumbawamba Tub Thumper. Nice. Gontar, whose main is also Bacchus, is Alice Cooper Zipper Catches Skin, etc., etc. And it goes on because there's thousands of monsters,
right?
Thousands of songs.
Oh yeah,
it's the wildest thing ever.
Now I'm gonna have to dig my PS1 back out again now.
So the Before They Were Cool segment here is something that we've just kind of started developing for our episodic podcast, and that is really a chance to feature pre-orders and things that are coming out that we're either ordering on vinyl or we think perhaps you should be aware of to order on vinyl, and get a chance to really have this discussion even before it was cool, because we actually got it, is the idea. Mine is what might well have been my album of the year of 2024 if I had heard it before just a couple weeks ago, and that is Lowen, Do Not Go to War with the Demons of Mazandaran. It is a pressing that came out late last year, topped a whole bunch of metalheads top lists that I don't watch on YouTube. I didn't know any of this stuff until I heard this song on that Root of All Evil 24-hour Metal Meltdown recently.
Okay.
And I heard this song and I was like, what is this?
We dream to
I checked it out, and besides having absolutely the best album cover of 2024, it was some of the best music I'd heard in a real long time, and I super dug it. It is just kind of dark, very heavy metal with an operatic, my understanding is some kind of Iranian influenced singing. A London-based Middle Eastern progressive doom metal band comprised of Nina Saidi on vocals, Daf Santur and more, as well as Shem Lucas on guitar alongside Karl Constantine on drums when playing live. They mainly focus on the displaced identity of vocalist and multi-instrumentalist Nina Saidi, who lives in permanent exile from Iran, a country where playing metal is illegal, and women singing unaccompanied risk execution.
Oh, wow.
The ancient world, its art and languages form a backdrop for an exploration of the pain and longing of the diasporically dispossessed and her mournful wails and use of traditional Tahrir vocals unique to Iran. But specifically, the album bases much of its themes and lyrics on the Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, specifically a chapter wherein an arrogant king, Kay Kavis, lets his conquesting hubris get the better of him and his army as he is lured by a demon into invading Mazandaran, a hotbed of great demons with the promise of beauty and riches. Read the album title again. You can guess how it goes. The album title is Do Not Go to War with the Demons of Mazandaran. And the album is really just about why you probably shouldn't ought do such a thing. It's amazing. The vocals are incredible. The riffs are just badass. And it's heavy. It's great. My only minor criticism of it is that it is perhaps not as diverse in its songwriting as the band may eventually develop into, would be my guess. It feels a little like a lot of the songs feel somewhat similar as the course of the album goes on. Minor complaint though, really, because it's a stunning achievement of an album and a band and a vocalist and a bunch of musicians. It's just an incredible piece of work, already topped tons of Metalhead 2024 lists, and I'm just discovering it now. Sold out absolutely completely right now. They're doing pre-orders for their second run. You can order it right now and get in on this before it sells out again. So that's why it's in the Before It Was Cool.
Well, it sounds like I am going to have to get on that pre-order then, because that sounds amazing, and I haven't even heard it at all, and you sold me on it.
Have you seen the album cover yet?
I have not.
Okay.
Wow.
Take a moment to appreciate that album cover.
Okay, that is...
This was created for
amazing.
the album, by the way.
Going completely opposite of that, I'm going hair metal-ish. It's Warrant, their Ultraphobic album, which was their fourth album. A lot of people do not like this album because this is the album where it went grunge.
Myself a schedule, now I stay awake all night. I wish I'd seen this coming, but I don't have second sight. I should have found somebody else and build a wall around my heart. Spend the money in my wallet on a 10-foot bodyguard.
The album before this, they also were very grunge. This has some grunge type stuff in it, but then it's got some pop stuff and then a little bit of the hair metal too. Like Warrant kind of was trying to figure out what was going on because it was that like 95, that was prime grunge time. Like that's like, you know, hair metal was like completely dead by then. So Warrant was trying to stay relevant, basically, is what it boiled down to. They got their old producer, Beau Hill, back, who produced like Cherry Pie and Dirty Rotten Filthy Stinkin' Rich. So it kind of has some shades of that on it. It's the first time it's been on vinyl. It's the 30th anniversary edition. It's on this like kind of orange, red, yellow swirl vinyl. This has my 2 favorite Warrant songs ever, though.
Oh, really?
Yep. Chameleon and Family Picnic
Okay.
are my 2 favorite Warrant songs, and they are actually from this album. This is one of those albums that a lot of people, I think, have like given up on Warrant. So there's a lot of people that don't even realize this album exists. It's really, really good.
That's fantastic, Bill. This is great because look at this. It looks Experience vinyl exclusive, 500 units, releasing this summer. For, like you say, first time on vinyl, presumably was just CD at the time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, and cassette. I have it on CD cassette. And this is one of them that, you remember we did a couple episodes ago, we did the stuff that needs pressed or repressed.
Exactly.
This could have been on my list.
Yeah.
So I was so happy when I seen this was coming out.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's awesome.
It's really good. So yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I don't have to like this album. I don't know. I've never heard this album. Maybe I'll like it, but I don't have to like this album. This is where we are these days, where they can do these sort of specialty pressings, and there's enough of a market that they can make this stuff happen, and that's nothing but good. So that's awesome. That's sweet. I keep forgetting that their biggest hit was actually Heaven.
Yes. Yeah, Heaven, pretty close, followed by Sometimes She Cries. Basically, they're a ballad band for hit-wise, at least. Yeah, that was... And Heaven is my least favorite Warrant song. Like, I don't like that song at all. I think it's just because it was overplayed so much.
It sure was played a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was just kind of one of those, it's like, okay, enough, we get it.
It may be too far away, as a matter of fact. Please stop playing.
Right.
Hey, Drac, what's new?
There is a lot new, but the one thing I wanted to point out, we talked about it a couple episodes ago that it was coming out. It got delayed, but I finally got my hands on it. It finally came out. It's the repress of Mad Season Above.
My pain is self-chosen, at least so the prophet says. I could either burn or cut off my pride and buy some time. A head full of lies is a weight tied to my waist. The river of deceit pulls down. The only direction we flow is down.
And this is actually numbered. I don't know if that's going to show up, but I actually got a fairly low number, which I don't really care about that much, but I just thought it was cool. That
Well, what's
I
the
got that
total?
low number.
The only thing I don't see on this version is what the total number on.
3,000.
Okay, 3,000. Okay.
So this is sold out now.
Okay.
So you're gonna have to pay aftermarket prices if you want to get a hold of this, unless you can get lucky and your local record store might have a copy of it. But my only complaint about this, and then I will get to my complaint in a second though. But if you're not familiar with Mad Season, it's Lane Staley from Alice in Chains, Mike McCready from Pearl Jam. And I apologize, I can't remember the other guy's name from Mudhoney. And just a random drummer. He wasn't from a band. Formed supergroup. This was their one and only album. My only complaint about this is it sounds horrible because it's on. Have you heard the Eco Vinyl?
I have heard of it. I have not yet purchased an Eco Vinyl record, but I'm curious.
Do not.
I'm curious. Okay.
Do not. If you have a choice of getting a regular or an Eco, this only came on the Eco Vinyl. It is super noisy, and I have 2 other Eco Vinyls. Super noisy.
I am particularly sensitive to noise floor, so that doesn't sound really good to me.
Yeah, no. It's even after I cleaned it, I hand cleaned it, I put it in the ultrasonic twice, it's still noisy. I think it's the Eco Vinyl.
That's really
record companies. Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Can we please stop with the Eco Vinyl? I mean, I get it. You're trying to, save the environment because vinyl,
so that's the thing. I'm a bit of an environmentalist. So the idea of Eco Vinyl is frankly very attractive to me. But my concern would be exactly that, which is that the reason we use particularly pure and thus relatively costly and resource costly vinyl is because we've learned over time that it sounds better and resolves these noise floor issues. And so I like the new idea as well. No, we solved that problem and it's back and it's good. Except I've had a question mark there, and because I've not yet purchased one, I don't know. So this is sadly very disappointing news for me.
I would be curious if you actually get some and see if you have the but anybody, and I've seen other people online talk about it too, that the Eco, it's so noisy. And I think it's just inherent in that they're just reusing the vinyl, they're kind of recycling it and reusing it. Something in that process must do something with it, but yeah.
We like to think of, I recycled a bunch of records and somehow that turned into this Eco Vinyl. But my understanding of the reality is it's a somewhat synthetic material and it uses the cuttings of the regular vinyl, because we think of X amount of waste as being the size of the vinyl that we received, but the actual vinyl used is some significantly larger portion than that. And all that just goes to waste and gets thrown into landfills and everything else. And so the idea of Eco Vinyl is, can we find a use for that would not just make for a far more efficient record manufacturing process and thus save you money, but also have a very significant impact on the amount of this sort of stuff that's ending up in landfills and things like that. So it's an important task, but it's very sad to hear that. And I've heard this a few other places, sadly, as well. But your opinion counts more than most. I'm
happy that it got repressed, though. I just wish it would have been on normal vinyl, but So there was a repress of that several years ago that is now out of print that I also have. It sounds really good. So I think that'll be the one that I listen to, and I'll just have this as a collector's piece because I don't like the way it sounds. Sadly.
Bummer. You're bumming me out, man. You're bumming me out.
I was super bummed. I was so excited. I'm like, this is going to sound amazing.
Yeah.
This is like remastered. It's repressed. It's brand new. They did the original artwork like on the repress that came out a couple of years ago. The art it was just black, and then this was like about CD sized on the cover. So they actually did the full cover again. There's like a nice 20-page book in here. It talks about the band, the recording of this album. It talks about Lane Staley, and it's amazing. Like the whole package is amazing. And then I threw it on the turntable, and I'm just like.
Can I be honest though? Last episode's Godzilla was the same way for me. It looked great, sounded not great.
That's yep. That I guess that could be a whole topic we could do at some point too. It's like vinyl that you bought and then got disappointed when you listened to it. It's like.
Thank you, Drac, for giving me the perfect segue. I am not even slightly disappointed with my what's new. And that is because I am so excited because our last episode where we did our top 666 heaviest metal, I want to harken back and play a brief clip here from my brother's standpoint, who said the following.
You need to check out this album and the album before it, which I unfortunately don't have on vinyl, and really get a sample of who this band is, because they are going to blow your mind.
Hell yeah, I am so down for listening to that. I've never heard of that before.
I've never heard of them either, actually.
Yep. That sounds fantastic, though. That sounds right up my alley.
Everything
you were
said,
gonna love it.
Exactly.
My brother knows me so well when he recommended Bloodywood, New Delhi, which as soon as the moment I heard that clip for the production of the episode, I had a moment. I had a moment, people, and it took less than 5 minutes for me to have completed a transaction to get that gosh darn vinyl to my house as quickly as it could possibly be. And I spent the entire weekend listening to the song Bloodywood, New Delhi. With the most kick-ass video I've seen in years, of the most kick-ass song I have heard in years. I specifically will say this. The last metal song that had this big an impact on me was Tool Schism. I specifically know which song it was, and it was Tool Schism until now. Did I think at the age of, frankly, 50... in 2025, I was going to hear one of my potential favorite all-time metal bands? No. Have I? Yes. New Delhi is fucking incredible. And not only that, I immediately ran out and took my brother's other advice, which is to get the first one as well while you still can, because it is almost out of print. And it is maybe better, as my brother says, and I agree. It is... They're both great, but this one is a little crunchier and just a little more badass, frankly. And it's so good.
Concept, baby, get with it or get gone. Got you in my sights, motherfucker, it's a headshot. You up on the spot and you saw the rod, yeah. No man, yes, all man, need all man, for what it's all man can't be when it's been wherever. Then you see fears have to get involved, then talking all, then do more, poets of war. Kids on today, we leave it raw. Bloody galore, we clean up the core, we do it for her to that's energy up in the patriarchy and we're loving it. We done asking nasty, so now we're here thugging it. No man and no woman, it's the people that are running it. Listen for that engine, cause now we gon' be gunning it. I think it's a good idea to hear about. Take out your hands up, begin to shop. Take a brother, take a thumb, take a thumb, take a brother, take a bitch, take a money, get shut up. La don't get moved, no gamma. Now make good day, done game, gun, not done. Do not do the die, 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 do not do the die, die, die.
Bloodywood is the best fucking band ever, and I am just could not be happier to discover what is at this moment, without question, just like your Spirit Box, my 2025 album of the year.
I'm gonna have to order those now.
Oh, it's so good. I will tell you,
I can find them.
That's the thing, is I will tell you about this one, and I'm not going to name the company. I'm not going to name the company, but I searched for this album because I had to have it. And when I did the standard Google search and started clicking on shopping links, I went to a website that when I was in a need style mood, I purchased and then afterwards read the reviews. And
Oh, no.
those reviews were, this place is a scam. This
Oh,
place, you are never
no.
going to see your vinyl. You're never going to hear from them if you never receive your vinyl, and you're just never going to get it. But here's what happened in my experience. Oh, the other thing was, you're going to order it. It says it's in stock, and it's not in stock. Well, guess what was not in stock? When about 3 days after I placed my order, I waited 6 days after I placed my order and sent them an email, at which point they said, oh, your item is on back order because it's being repressed, which is not true, as far as I'm aware.
Right.
But we're expecting a copy within a week, and we will ship it to you as soon as we receive it. And I have to admit that that is exactly what they appear to have done. It arrived in really good condition in a branded vinyl package. Not just, frankly, it wasn't exactly the copy that I placed the order for, but it is the UK limited edition of 500.
Okay. All right.
White, blue, black marbled vinyl. So a fairly low pressing of this and a UK version of it. And of an amazing record. That sounds great. Looks
Can't
great.
complain
Arrived
about that
great.
then. I mean, yeah.
I mean, all I can say is they did exactly what they said they were going to do, and I received a very hard to find record at regular MSRP price. So
can't complain then.
No, as a matter of fact, I'd probably be calling out their name except for the review thing. So, but I did leave them a positive review and I just stated that I was like, everything they said happened. So.
Well, I'm glad that you had a positive experience out of that. After reading
how did they do it, though?
I would be
if I was
out.
on the streets of California or whatever, and all of a sudden someone places an album for Bloodywood Rackshake, how in the gosh darn heck did the guy actually find the thing and ship it to me? I think what's happening is it's a sort of a drop shipping situation where they use Google SEO to get rare albums into the list so people make the purchase, and then they apparently clearly at least try to fulfill it,
right?
But perhaps with some level of success and failure would be my guess, but I have no idea.
I mean,
all I can tell you though is, oh my God, did they come through? Because I got Bloodywood Rackshake, and I love these albums so much. I cannot explain to you exactly, other than to say one of my favorite songs by Aerosmith is Love in an Elevator. One of my most hated songs by Aerosmith is Love in an Elevator. But the reason it's one of my most loved songs is because there is a specific kind of drum shuffle that happens during the guitar solo of that song that I like very much. And it is very similar to the kind of rhythms that are done with the traditional Indian instruments in general, but specifically as it relates to nu metal and things like that with Bloodywood. And it's the best freaking thing ever. And I just hear Bloodywood, and I love their message, frankly, as well. When I listen to the lyrics and hear their statements and go do that YouTube digging, I'm like, wow, what a band. Wow, what a band. Just on the cusp of blowing up. And here's the final part. This is a Saturday. On Wednesday, I am going to see Bloodywood live. Opening up for Baby Metal, who I like just fine, and whose recent album I checked out as well, and also think it's pretty darn good. I'm not purchasing it right
ordered
now,
that
but it's
on
a
vinyl,
totally
actually,
cool album. Totally cool album. I just am not happening to purchase it right now. I'm going for Bloodywood. Fuck yes, I'm going for Bloodywood. And on top of that, this is a band that I get to see potentially as they blow up again. We talked about me seeing Pearl Jam. I saw Red Hot Chili Peppers. I saw Testament. You know, this is going to feel like that to me, I think. And I get the chance to hit up their merch stand as an adult.
Oh, yeah.
So how painful is that not going to be, but also be? Because you darn right maybe. I am picking up Bloodywood merch if I can, if it's cool.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So
I mean, maybe they'll have another press of the vinyl, or they'll have like a 7-inch or something.
They might well, frankly. You joke, but bands are absolutely putting out 2
No, actually, it's not a joke. I'm dead serious, yeah.
When I saw the
Is it-
Resonance, they frankly brought in some of their archive, some of
Which, yep.
their rarities at a higher price point, because they knew that was the audience that would purchase that stuff, and they were not
I
wrong.
so love that bands
yeah.
are starting to do this with vinyl at their merch stands. They're like, there's a lot of bands that are bringing some vinyl in, and a lot of the times it's stuff like that Resonance stuff. It's stuff that's hard to find, hard to get. They have it. Yeah, you might pay a little more for it, but number one, you're supporting the artist
at their concert.
Right, exactly.
It's fine.
You're supporting the artist because they're getting most of that money. I mean, the venue gets some of it, but the band is getting a good chunk of whatever you're spending at that merch booth. So yeah,
their website lists a turntable mat of the front cover of this album for $20,
no way.
And I'm feeling like that might be a pretty sweet looking turntable mat for whatever it costs. So
oh yeah, heck yeah.
Heck yeah, isn't it? After a couple of strikeouts, and not that I dislike some of the other albums that I've critiqued, but for sound quality and stuff, the sound quality is perfect. Both records, frankly, sound great, pressed great, look great. Everything is just right with them. No complaints whatsoever. And holy heck, do you need to check this band out? It would be my recommendation.
So we thought, since we earlier in the show did video game soundtracks, we would kind of keep the soundtrack motif going here. And we're going to go just soundtracks in general. So this could be movies, TV show. I think most of ours are movies, though. But didn't necessarily have to stick with movies. I think it just kind of ended up they were all movies. But, I mean, there was a couple TV soundtracks I could have thrown on here, but mine and yours both just happened to lined up with
they did. We mostly went with movies. What's funny though for me is that this is a great example of a top 5 list that looked great on paper. And then I was like, what was I thinking trying to put together a top 5 soundtracks list? Do you have any idea how much that encompasses? That's why we broke out and part our top 5 video games ultimately here. Besides the fact I didn't have a lot of that stuff in my collection. But the other reason is because I was like, oh my gosh, between movies and TV and horror soundtracks alone, I could do a top 20 of horror soundtracks alone. So
I am so happy to hear you say that, because I had the same thing. And I was just like, oh. And then this list was hard for me to make too. And even now looking at my list, I'm like, there's one of these that I could take off and I could think of about 10 other things I could have put on, but it's like, it's already too late. The list is made, it's done. So I'm going to go with it, but I will mention that when I get to what the number is. Like this one, I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong, but I can think of about 4 other things I could have put on to replace it. But
the thing that's really interesting, though, and the reason I kept this and didn't just ditch it or something, is because it really makes you think about your own collection, your own likes and dislikes, start to analyze, maybe in my case at least, quite a bit more about, well, why do I like this so much? What is it about this versus this? And this putting together top 5 soundtracks was awesome as well. And I'm really excited to share the records that we're sharing with you here today. So
it was a fun list to make.
Not
the hardest list I've made so far, but it was a fun. Well, I mean, it was a hard list to make.
What's funny for me is I just whined and moaned about how difficult this list was, but really when it came down to it, it was the easiest list I put together, because I went back to the thing that I first did when I got. Well, let me look at my collection and pull out my top 5 soundtracks. I went, this. Done. And then I started analyzing it and thinking about it and going through all the thing. And I was like, yeah, but I really want this one. And I want to show off this one. And I already kind of maybe in one case showed off this one, whatever. And when it came down to it, I was like, nope. All that thinking, I'm just back where I started with my top 5.
So you want me to start again?
Sure.
Okay. This is from my number 5. We have talked about this soundtrack before. Didn't actually ever show it when we talked about it, but it was during the heavier metal episode. At the end, we were talking about metal movies and stuff like that, and then we got started talking about movies that suck so bad, but their soundtracks are really good. Yeah, my best example of that is the Last Action Hero soundtrack. Full disclosure, this is an unofficial release. This was never actually officially released on vinyl, but this sounds amazing, as you'll hear from the clip I pulled. And the nice thing about, I guess nice is not the right word, but the special thing about this is a limited edition release, which who knew unofficial releases could have limited edition releases. It's on this yellow vinyl. It's a 2-disc set, but side 1 actually has no music on it. It's just printed. It's almost like a picture disc, but there's no music on it. It's just like a still from the movie.
So
I thought that was pretty freaking amazing.
Is it's a 3-sided record?
Yes.
With essentially side 1 being on side 2 of the first disc.
Yes. That it's weird, but yeah. And then it's got custom inners. Yeah, like I said, this isn't unofficial, but it sounds really, really good. It looks good. It sounds good. It's pressed good. This soundtrack is just so good. It's got like Alice in Chains, AC/DC, Megadeth, Tesla, Queensryche.
I think in hindsight, you won that discussion with my brother, me, and you on that soundtrack. I don't think we recognized it at the time because of that. We didn't see the full list there.
Yeah,
I think that's it. That could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's so good. It's this is just such a good album. So yeah. So there you go. The Last Action Hero soundtrack.
A lot of what we're seeing here is going to split along 2 lines, which is there's a whole bunch of different kinds of soundtracks, but there's really in some ways 2 pillars. One of which is a collection of popular or not popular, whatever, but a collection of songs that are played while the movie is playing. And then there are soundtracks that are composed for the movie. I lean in my top 5 a lot with the compositional side because I'm a huge fan of movie soundtracks and TV and really video soundtracks in general. And my number 5 is going to kick off with Tron Legacy, the 2011 sequel to the original Tron. I don't have the original Tron on vinyl yet, but it also is going to someday be in this collection. But it's an incredible soundtrack that got released. I think I actually picked this up not long after the movie came out. So if this isn't the first pressing, it's something like it. And it's a really nice vinyl record set of the soundtrack by Daft Punk. At the time that Tron Legacy came out, there was a bunch of music critics and people on the internet and things like that that were like, oh, the Tron Legacy soundtrack sucks because it doesn't sound like a Daft Punk album. It's not a bunch of dance bangers. It is not a bunch of dance bangers. There are a couple of points in the soundtrack that are really great examples of the best that Daft Punk has put together. But in general, it's a very orchestral, environmental soundtrack deliberately by the band, Daft Punk. And so a lot of the music critics at the time, just like the movie itself, had sort of a mixed reaction. As soon as I saw it in 3D originally, I was like, I think this might be my favorite movie. And that remains true today, frankly.
Yeah.
I recognize the plot may not be the greatest thing ever at all points, and maybe there's a few pacing issues and stuff, but I absolutely love Tron Legacy. And I love the soundtrack by Daft Punk for this as well. I wouldn't have changed one moment of it. And I think it's one of the best soundtracks in my collection.
number 4 is the one that I talked about that in hindsight, I probably could have took this one off and added various others. Like I said, I can take out the top of my head 3 or 4, but we're just going to go with what I first picked, and that is the Natural Born Killers soundtrack. This, if you've not seen this movie is wild, violent, and very crazy. It's crazy movie, but this is a very eclectic soundtrack. Let me actually take the vinyl line here so I can see. Like, you've got everything from Leonard Cohen to L7 to Patsy Cline to Nine Inch Nails. You even have the Dog Pound on here as well. This is just a crazy, like, insane soundtrack to match the insane movie.
Oliver Stone has gone through really eras of his career, and this was really the peak of his kind of wild filmmaking era. Really, in part, commercially influenced by, like, I can't remember if it came first or if Pulp Fiction came first. I can't remember now.
Natural Born Killers was before Pulp Fiction.
Was it? Yeah. But it was kind of in that vein where it was pushing the boundaries of what was acceptable to see on summer movie screens and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And deliberately so. And it was a pretty heavy satire of a movie as well, with a lot of real pretty rough to watch bits and things.
Oh, yeah, so there's some hard to watch parts in that.
But like you say, fueled by just a heck of a soundtrack.
Oh yeah, it's so eclectic and so varied. Like, 1 minute you're hearing L7, the next minute you're hearing Patsy Cline, and you're like, what is happening right now? Like, what is going on? And then, produced by Trent Reznor, by the way. That was his first foray. He didn't actually write anything. That was his first foray into soundtracks, was that one. He just produced that one. And then after that, that's when he started getting more into soundtracks, which he's doing a lot now. Which pretty much, I mean, Nine Inch Nails is on tour, but I doubt we'll ever get another Nine Inch Nails album again. He is very heavy into the soundtrack world.
I just put some of my cheap CDs away, but you know what's funny is one of my local record stores was like, listen, we just got a couple crates of CDs. We're selling them for like $1 each. And
oh, nice.
So literally, I could have included the CD in my What's New, because this is one of the most recent things I've purchased for my music collection, is the Natural Born Killers soundtrack.
It's so good, though.
This also is one of the most annoying CDs because they don't give you the track listing. You cannot, they don't give you, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, that's annoying.
You cannot see on the outer case what the tracks are. You cannot see on the inner case what the tracks are. You cannot see in the track list who the bands are. You have to go into like the credit sequence to figure, it's absolutely redonkulous.
Oh, no.
But whatever. It's a great soundtrack.
Oh, yeah. 100%. It's,
Yeah.
So there you go. My number 4.
My number 4 is a very unusual pick, and it's a record I discovered while browsing a shop in Worcester, Massachusetts, some number of years ago. And it is called Psych Funk Sare Ga. And what it is a bunch of largely Bollywood soundtracks. So this would have been, India is just as big, maybe bigger than the United States in terms of Hollywood, in terms of size and scope and everything of it's an equal. It really is. And it has been for a very long time as well. And this is an exploration across a 2-record set of soundtracks, both TV, movies, and other things. And it's just got the most incredible sound to it. And it has got a book of information about it that you're going to see in this clip. And it is just an exposition of tripped out stuff that is wild and fun. And to a person like myself, so incredibly, this record is such a wealth of knowledge that I absolutely adore it. I love the songs on this, but I also love the presentation because it goes into so much detail and I learned so much about the context of where this is coming from. But where it's coming from is kind of left field because it's psych. It's psych music from the late 60s all the way into the early 80s. And you know the kind of movies they made in, say, the 1970s in America and their soundtracks. Wait till you hear what they were doing in India is what I would say to that. So
I'm excited to like hear a clip from this because, I like looked at it on Discogs and I'm just like, what the heck, man? Like, what even is this? Like, how did you even discover that?
I was just browsing the rack. I saw it. I was like, I love soundtracks, and I think it had like a $35 price tag. It wasn't cheap, but that's because it came with the big book and everything. And I was like, this sounds incredible. I don't even need to know if any of the music's good on it. I'm just going to read all this stuff anyway. And then I turned it on, and it's stuff that could be so mined from like trip hop and beats and sampled and everything else. I mean, it's so ripe. There's so much creative cool stuff in this. It's like the ultimate hipster soundtrack in some ways. It's super cool.
I'm excited to check that out, actually. My number 3 is going to be another one of those movies. Very strange movie. Prepare yourself if you've never seen the movie. It is the Lost Highway soundtrack.
I got my head, but my head is unraveling. Can't keep control, can't keep track of where it's traveling. I got my heart, but my heart's no good. And you're the only one that's understood. I come along, but I don't know where you're taking me. I shouldn't go, but you're reaching, dragging, shaking me. Turn off the sun, pull the stars from the sky. The more I give to you, the more I die.
Produced by Trent Reznor. It's a David Lynch movie. Once again, this is Trent going into his producing a soundtrack. Gatefold.
It's a great looking album. It's a really nice matte cover as well.
Yep. This is a music on vinyl release, so you can't get this anymore. It's out of print. It was one of the limited edition at the movie music on vinyl releases. This soundtrack is kind of different because it has music from artists on it, and then it has music from the movie. It's got like the score of the movie kind of interspersed, so it's a little different. It's got David Bowie, Smashing Pumpkins, Nine Inch Nails. This is a great movie, but it's like kind of a weird movie. It's like one that I don't watch the movie a lot. I will watch it maybe once a year, maybe. It's a strange movie.
David Lynch doesn't make, quote, normal movies in the traditional sense of the word ever. You would never expect that of David Lynch, but
very, very true.
Even among David Lynch films, Lost Highway is certainly at the very least somewhere in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
In terms of weirdness.
And it's just on standard black vinyl, nothing Nothing fancy about the vinyl, but there you go.
That's awesome.
Lost
I
Highway.
love that soundtrack. I wasn't, clearly it's not actually on vinyl. Like, I can't go buy this too
Yeah,
easy
no,
today,
you can't.
But
You
awesome.
gotta
awesome
get it.
pick.
Secondhand. It was like, I don't remember what it wasn't numbered, but it was like limited to the release, like all music on vinyl stuff is. They might eventually repress it at some point, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Great soundtrack. Lovely. Great soundtrack. One of my all-time favorite movies as well.
I cannot see.
It's my
Now
number
that
3.
is one that I would love to own on vinyl. I can't believe you have that on vinyl.
Yeah, Enter the Dragon. Music composed, conducted, performed, recorded by the Lalo Schifrin Orchestra. And it is one of the most famous martial arts movie soundtracks of all time, of one of the most, frankly, the most famous martial artist of all time.
Oh,
and
easily.
It's absolutely, when people think about 1970s martial arts, funky, fresh, kind of just fun music, it don't get much better. Which was absolutely my number 3, no question. I've loved it since the moment I saw the old VHS tape or whatever.
100%.
And the moment that I found this 180-gram Rhino vinyl at, I believe, Weirdo Records in Cambridge, Massachusetts, for, can you freaking believe it, $13.
No.
Sealed. About, I don't know, 12 years ago, 13 years ago or whatever. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And I have pretty much still feel that way about this find today. You only have so many awesome finds like this in your career, and this was one of them, I think. So.
Right, yeah. No, that's a real good find.
Yeah.
Wow. So, and that is like one of my favorite martial arts movies too.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a good movie.
I would strongly recommend the Fist of Fury soundtrack as well, if you get the ability. There was an official CD release of the Fists of Fury and Game of Death soundtrack combined, and that's pretty great if you can dig that one up as well. That's on CD. I happen to have it in my collection too, but not the easiest thing to find.
Well, your number 3 ties nicely into my number 2 in the fact that mine is also a Lee, but mine is Brandon Lee, and it is the Crow soundtrack. Which, one of my all-time favorite movies. So good. The soundtrack, so good as well. Like, it's got The Cure, it's got Stone Temple Pilots, it's got Nine Inch Nails, it's got Rollins Band, Helmet, My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult. So it's got some rock, it's got some metal, it's got some gothic twist to it too. But yeah, just
I don't know what year The Crow came out, except that I know I was still in high school. What year did that come out?
Been, I'm trying to think, 90.
Okay, you said 90. That's the important thing. I think Okay,
93 maybe, because I was still working at the radio station.
All I could say is The Crow is the most 90s ass movie that ever 1990.
Oh yeah.
And its soundtrack is one of the most 1990s soundtracks that ever 1990 as well, in a good way. In a good way.
I am glad you said that, because I have had many an argument with people stating this and my number one, which I'll talk about in a moment, are the two best 90s soundtracks ever. Fight me on it. I'm not gonna fight you on it. We're locking arms, man.
Yep. I'll be player 2. I'll punch my way through those crowds.
Yep. This is like 90s in a nutshell. This soundtrack, this movie, along with my number one, which we'll talk about in a second. But
awesome.
So good soundtrack.
We're going to the 80s, and we're going with horror on my number 2, which is one of my favorite horror movies, but also one of my for realsies favorite horror movie soundtracks, and that is Phantasm.
Again,
my understanding is that my understanding is that there are some number of people out there who are pretty angry about the fact I might have this record, because my understanding is this became real hard to get for a long time, and just recently finally got a repress or something, but however, look, mine's in beautiful condition. I've kept it absolutely immaculate. I love.
I see that
this vinyl record. I love the soundtrack.
I love this movie.
This was one of the few times, speaking of a local record chain that is somewhat controversial to me, but is also awesome. Exclusive Newbury Comics, red with gray wave vinyl, which is why I have it, because yoink. Limited edition of 400. And it's the one that came out back in the day by Mondo. And I paid $40 for it, but it was worth every penny. And I love the soundtrack. I absolutely love it. I like the whole Phantasm movie series, honestly, except really the first 3 are the best. But still,
I agree.
And the soundtrack throughout. It's very proggy, which is, of course, it's proggy. That's why I like it. But nonetheless, it is.
Right.
But the other thing I would call out about this soundtrack is that it's also environmental horror movie music. You could pick, like something Friday the 13th is not on your list, right?
No.
You could pick
something, but no.
You could pick something like Friday the 13th, and in terms of that, environmental music, or perhaps a Halloween soundtrack by John Carpenter or something like that, but I don't happen to have those. And in my opinion, Phantasm is a real great example of that kind of thing as well, which is not just great rocky proggy stuff, but great environmental 80s horror movie soundtrack music as well.
Oh yeah, 100% good pick. And yeah, I am jealous that you own that. I have been looking for that forever.
Well, I guess it's out now. People are saying you can order it now.
Yeah, I saw that. I've seen some posts and stuff about that, so I'm going to have to look and try to find that finally. Mm-hmm. My number one, I knew was going to be my number one. This was like I just had to, like, my number 2 and my number 1, I knew right off the bat. The others, I was like, okay, we'll figure it out. I'm going to kind of cheat and do the extended version of this. There is also a single album release as well, but it is the singles soundtrack. is one of my favorite movies from the 90s. This just recently came out from Mondo. This is a 4-disc set, so it's
Oh wow.
2 discs
Okay.
each one. It's got like pretty much all of the music that was in the movie. The first release of this only had certain songs. This has like every, even if you've seen the movie, you know, like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains are featured performing in the movie. These songs are on this version of the soundtrack. You get those live recordings of this, but this again is pure 90s. This is 90s alternative. It's 90s grunge. It's got Alice in Chains. It's got Soundgarden. It's got Pearl Jam. It's got Paul Westerberg, who is from The Replacements.
Yeah.
He has several songs off of that soundtrack. I love, and Singles is one of my favorite 90s movies, along with The Crow. And that is another one I'll die on the hill of. Tell me there's a better 90s soundtrack than that, and I'm going to tell you you're wrong.
I
Besides
mean,
The
I
Crow.
could start thinking of stuff maybe, but it's a perfectly great,
Yeah.
excellent, rock solid number one pick.
Oh, yeah.
It was a huge soundtrack as well. What's funny about what you say about the music rights of it all is that even though it was a gigantic commercial success as a CD soundtrack back in the day, trying to repress it in 2025 has proven somewhat difficult, I guess,
Oh,
hasn't
yeah.
it? Except now because you
Oh,
got
yeah,
all
that's-
these record labels and licenses and things that
That's
you got
why
to deal
I'm-
with if you try to repress a movie soundtrack, and especially something
100%.
like that, right? So
100% shocked when Mondo came out with that, and it had like all of the music from the movie, and I'm like, I don't know what hoops they had to jump through to get the rights to that, because there's so many bands, so many different record labels. Like some of the people, you got the complications, like Lane Staley of Alice in Chains, and Chris Cornell of Soundgarden's no longer with us, so that probably complicates some rights too, I would think. It depends how, I don't know how that works after they die, if the record company still has the rights, or I guess it depends how, so a headache to figure out, but I'm glad they did. So yeah, and I also have like the single release too.
nice.
But I just cheated and showed off that one because that one's got like all of the music from the movie. So, and that is readily available still on Mondo's site. It was a limited edition release, but you can still order that if you want that version of it. It's still available on Mondo's site.
Maybe I'm wrong, but you would assume someone like Mondo would be like, hey, if we just keep this one in stock, it's going to generate regular revenue for us as a catalog item, and people are going to
I would
want
think,
it.
right?
So maybe we can just
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of keep doing it.
I would hope that's what they do. Like I said,
Yeah.
I ordered as soon as they announced it, I was like, boom, ordered, done.
Mhm.
I didn't have to think twice about it.
My number one is a repeat, but I can't not put Goblin Suspiria at the top of my best soundtrack list. It is
Which,
my favorite
as well
movie.
You should.
It is my favorite soundtrack. It is my favorite record. All three in one. So tough. The thing about the Suspiria soundtrack is I absolutely love it. It's
I do
really atmospheric. It's really creepy. It's really weird. It's really proggy. It's very environmental. They went in the studio and started howling and banging on drums and doing all sorts of cool things. And it was a creative collaboration as much as anything that resulted in Argento's final film, along with the great cinematography and everything. blending together to just be one of the most impressive horror movies ever made. And there's no piece of it that could be extracted from the film and make the film better. And in some ways, understanding the soundtrack, you have to really see the movie to understand the soundtrack. But if you're like me into prog and Italian prog rock and Italian horror movies and that, Suspiria is the king. Oh, I know what I was going to say. You were saying how one of your records, you could have picked 5 just for your top 5. I could have done the same thing. I could have just said top 5 soundtracks or the top 5 following Goblin albums. And just done that instead for this top 5 list. And there was a version where I was like, well, if that's true, Goblin's my favorite band. They almost entirely release soundtracks, and they're my favorite records in my collection. How do I not make this top 5 soundtrack list just be 5 Goblin albums? But then ultimately, I love all this other stuff as well. So yeah, Suspiria is still my number 1, and we're going to get to the rest of the Goblin. This will probably be the last time we'll feature Suspiria. I won't bring it back for Halloween. I promise.
Oh, come on. You got to bring it back for Halloween. It's Suspiria.
No, I'll bring out one of the others instead. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
There you go. Suspiria, man. Suspiria.
Yeah. I just recently finally found that on Blu-ray. I've been looking for the Blu-ray forever, and I finally found it. And I can't wait because it's got a DTS audio, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to hear that soundtrack in DTS. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Well, actually, depending if you're getting the Arrow version, they have the original 4-channel stereo mix, which is the one that was the original Italian theater mix that was designed. Goblin's music was designed around. So
that's the Blu-ray I have is the Arrow. Yeah.
Okay, good. And if you've got the 4-channel option available to you, go with that. Go with that.
Okay,
it's really good.
Right.
So
I will do that.
Yep, I love that. I love that Blu-ray so much.
That is a great pick.
We're done then, aren't we?
We are done.
I wanted to end this conversation with a plea to the world, which is, can we bring back visualizers? In general, I mean, on our stereos, I mean, on our TVs, I mean, on our computers, just on everything. Just bring back visualizers. Can we do it? Am I the only one who thinks visualizers are still cool?
No, I would love to have a visual, and I don't know why we got away from that. It just seems like, I don't know if it's maybe a little more expensive to include that on a stereo. I mean, you wouldn't think it would be that much more expensive because, I mean, it's not that much more.
It's lights. It's LEDs.
Right.
We have so much LEDs. Can you imagine the cool LED things we could be doing in our stereos just because that we're not doing, probably to save money? But whatever, do it anyway. I'll pay the $20.
I'm going to date myself with this, but my fondest memory of the visualizers ever are the visualizers that were included with Winamp. I remember that was like that at that time. It blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And I know a lot of my friends would like turn them off on Winamp, and I'm like, no, I'm keeping those on because those are freaking amazing.
I want an LED style plasma wave on my stereo that goes up and down based on the frequency response range of the whatever audio is being played.
Okay.
And it can be it could even look 3D because we can do that now.
Yeah. I mean, we
put
can
some
do
mirrors
so much
on
right
it
now.
and stuff, and it's going to look amazing. And yeah, it's maybe
so much technology now.
We like to hide our tech these days. That's why, or we don't even have tech, and it's all just Bluetooth or something like that. But but there is a market for stereos in the world today, and why can that market not include new visualizers, 2025 style? That's all I'm saying.
No, I agree with you. There's no reason why we shouldn't.
On that note,
make it happen. China, you're the ones that make all the electronics.
It doesn't have
nowadays.
to be. I mean, it could be some. It doesn't. It's not entirely true. There's people in Europe and there's people in the U.S. and honestly, there's people in my home state of Massachusetts making audio gear, Orbit turntables, for example. They're actually
I didn't
not
realize
that far
they were from
me.
Massachusetts.
Yeah,
really.
they're actually not that far from me. I believe all the parts are probably manufactured overseas
Right.
and then assembled in
I knew they were in the
Massachusetts,
United States, but I didn't
Yeah.
know they were actually.
But still, the
Massachusetts-based.
people who were doing that could be like, "Hey, let's carve out that little space for a visualizer
Right.
and make that happen," and they'll pay $20
Right.
bucks, and they're right. I will.
Oh yeah. Oh, I would too.
Yeah. Thanks for watching
100%.
episode 8 of the Record Players Podcast on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. We really do appreciate you watching any and all of these videos, whether you're watching them in their longer format as a podcast, they're still pretty long format by subject on horizontal video, or just all the vertical videos that we're feeding out into the internet as much as we can across all the things. And it's great to have you here. Please feel free to comment. Even if you disagree with us, think I'm stupid or whatever, that's fine. Let me know. Give us a like, though, if you would, on your way out the door. Much appreciated. Thanks for joining me, Drac.
Yep. Thank you.